Can't do it. You can't do it. Hey.
Can I? I don't know.
I think we can pretty much do anything because we're
that's
idiots
right.
and no
That's
one
right.
really cares. Hey, thanks for joining us. We'd like to say this episode is sponsored by our sponsors. We don't have any sponsors, actually, never mind. The sponsors are whoever the ads are that pop in here every once in a while, probably. We don't know who they are. They just do that stuff.
They don't
we really
ask us
don't know.
that.
They don't ask our permission. But I would like to thank Marty Van Zant for this thing. I don't know if he's related to Leonard Skinner. It's spelled differently. I'd like to think it is.
I think he is.
But
it's the old world spelling.
Marty, we literally just got this morning, and we're gonna drink it and crack it open in just a minute because we drink in the morning.
Heavily.
All
Not just the morning, all day. No.
But Marty's from Kentucky, and
Yes.
I think maybe Lexington. That's where my wife is from. But he and his wife are fans of Outlander. So Marty apparently has an Outlander tattoo of Jamie right above his rear area.
Smart.
Because he likes the show that much.
Makes sense.
Anyway, just want to thank you for that. That's a very unique and rare thing, and we were very happy that we'll be drunk shortly. I'm gonna put this off camera now.
Shortly, he said.
Shortly. Oh, thanks, Marty. Anyway, we're talking about Joe Rogan versus.
Good old Neil.
I've seen both of them live, sorta. One was fighting, one was no. One was singing songs. No, but the whole idea is
One could sing and the other was Neil Young. Sorry. I'm sorry.
It took me a minute to put all that together.
But
no, it's
I bet Joe's a bad singer.
I hope he's a bad singer. That would just be. I don't want him to be. He does enough stuff okay already. I
know he does a lot of really good things. I enjoy old Joe.
I mean, I think. Well, the whole idea is like Neil Young doesn't want to be on the same streaming platform as Joe Rogan, correct?
He's thrown the gauntlet. Ultimatum. Me or Joe, he said.
Which, because it just sounds like a petulant child. Like I'm taking my toys and going home. If I have to play in the same room as little Jimmy, and I love Neil Young. It's just sort of but he's always been that way.
He's always sort of been that way. There's some Neil Young things that I like, you know.
He's not a huge. Your Leonard Skinner root just doesn't.
I was gonna say we're talking about Skinner. Skinner had words for Neil in one of their famous anthems.
Neil's last time I saw Neil was at the last Farm Aid I went to. God, that's when there was like Jack White and Gary Clark Jr. and Dave Matthews and John Mellencamp and Willie Nelson. It was a great Farm Aid. Jack White stole the show. It was amazing. But Neil Young came out and he just complained and told us how bad our senator was and
keep on rocking.
And ranted for a bit. And then he played a few songs and ranted some more. And I was like, oh, this is not the Neil Young I was expecting, but maybe this is the Neil Young I was expecting. But,
the best Neil Young, I just got to say, keeping it all guitar related, best Neil Young is Tedeschi Trucks' cover of Alabama. That's fantastic.
Interesting. I've never heard that.
Oh, you should hear it. You'll never want to hear it. I mean,
I'm still going to, I think Neil Young has some masterpieces there.
He does.
And I think it's funny when it's Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, it's just so different than Crosby, Stills, Nash.
What do you like? What do you prefer?
I don't know. Because I like solo Neil Young. I think it's so good.
Hey, he is good. I mean, you know.
Just he's got a, but I think it's just silly when people disagree and that's why I'm not going to, especially since it's funny because if you look into Joe Rogan, he supported Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, Joe's not like far right, crazy alt right.
But he's not what Republicans want him to be, and he's not what Democrats want him to be.
He's got this crazy thing called a brain. He thinks about stuff.
I'm not going to go that far.
You know? That's what's sad though, is that we're not supposed to think about things. You're just supposed to align with one side or the other. And I think Joe, he
doesn't fit in there.
He thinks through each,
category. Yeah. Well, but and I don't really care about Joe Rogan versus Neil Young. The whole idea is that we were talking about our podcast now, the new music as far as changing our culture and sort of igniting the sort of thought involved folks out there. I was almost concerned that I don't know if music is having a social change or a social push in the same way that it used to during the golden era.
I don't think so. I think there was a time, especially in the 60s, where people would listen to these ideas from these songwriters. And it was changing minds, or at least making people think about things. And now I think maybe it is the long form podcast that sort of have that
Are
same
you
impact.
saying Machine Gun Kelly is not socially changing our stratosphere or the anxiety and meet me at our spot?
I'm not sure
Become a TikTok thing?
I'm sure that's where he was aiming, but
Talking about the
very
anxiety,
entertaining.
that's not a
Right.
he.
sorry.
There's sort of, it's a mixture of a he and non-gendered, I think. That's Willow Smith is in there.
Okay.
Will Smith's kid.
Yeah.
It's a really good song, actually. Don't mean to be belittling, but it's not a social change song. It's just a fun,
It's
happy
just
song.
right.
But yeah, I don't know. Are kids listening to music or is there new music that they're listening to in a social change parameter like they used to? I would say no.
I don't think. I think music kind of has slid solidly into that TikTok. It's entertainment. It's quick. It's throwaway.
It's a quick drug. They take the hit. They go. They're hopped up on it for a minute.
Now, that is not to say that there are not songwriters out there who are writing those types of songs. They're just not getting the mainstream, push.
There's just one guy that I just went blank on. It's like the dude from Ohio. Derek went to school with him. I don't think Derek likes him. It's the Father John Misty.
Oh yeah,
Father John,
yeah.
That like, I love that stuff. Bon Iver and stuff like that. Like that has that sort of aspect of, and it can still capture the youth and get you to think. But what's really happening is the youth is listening to old music. Dominates the streaming services right now still, which is a good thing because the music's great, but it's a bad thing because then this new music that might be representing social change or something is not getting heard at all.
Yeah.
Not saying that social change needs to be happening. I'm just saying in this argumentative Neil Young versus
just in the way of but just in the way of shaping the way people think about the world and culture at the moment,
because it did affect. Like I remember. I was like, this is the first song that came to my head. Oh, it's so stupid. But culturally, like shaping was like Led Zeppelin's "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You." It's not a cultural song at all. But I remember hearing that song, and it like as a young person, and it just like changed my life. So and when you are young, you hear certain songs, and it will like when I first heard Eric Clapton or Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimi Hendrix.
Heck yeah.
I remember first hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan being like, I didn't think a guitar player alive today, young, could do that.
Right.
I just didn't. I don't know how his fingers do that.
Right.
Like I could see the metal stuff, and I could see the scales working, but that it changed my life, and that's where I love when young people hear things, and it's like it's this brain. Where we work with young people, we see their brain just explode.
Well, and maybe the weird thing here, the weird sort of with the Joe Rogan, Neil Young has probably done that. Like he was probably one of those guys who did change people's minds and thoughts and shape the way they view culture at one point. But we're not talking prime Neil Young versus prime Joe Rogan podcast. Like I'm not sure Neil Young's got the firepower to make that kind of ultimatum and have any chance of winning. Maybe he was thinking maybe other people will band with me and they'll give the ultimatum too. Then maybe. But
and that's the thing. Like to draw parallels to the music industry and podcasting, I would like to do the same with the movie industry versus video games.
Right.
Because video games now make more money than movies. They've been doing this for over a decade. It's been happening. Like when they release like a AAA, platform game, like the Call of Duties, the Halos and stuff, and the Grand Theft Autos always break records, like hundreds and hundreds of $1 million on like week one.
Wow.
Of like, profit.
And what's the budget of that game versus a big like blockbuster movie?
It's similar.
Is it?
It's because they do spend tens to hundreds of millions of dollars on these games now. It's just not because you're thinking like there's a team of like, let's say there's a team of 50 to maybe 100 people sometimes working on this game for years.
Wow.
Maybe to make this game, but then they're also going to be farming the downloadable content.
Right.
They're going to be farming like season passes. They're going to skins, all that stuff. But it's
God, I'm so far removed from that.
I need to be in the real world more, maybe. No,
I don't know.
The real world's kind of, I don't know.
You're not missing that much.
Just COVID just knocked me back. Like, my world is normal now. Like,
got these new skins.
I don't have to go out there. Like, look at my new outfit on Halo. It's a pink suit of armor. Don't get pink because it's very easy to see unless you're in like a lava world or something. I think it's gonna be cool. Unless you're like, there's some fun videos out there though of people that this is what it looks like when you've been playing Halo for 17 years, and these guys are like pulling off these amazing moves where they just kill like 30 people in like a minute, just because they've been playing Halo for 20 years.
I like to imagine you playing Fortnite in like a really strange,
like squirrel woman, outfit. No,
or dressed as like a turnip.
So I've refused to play, and I know the head art designer of Fortnite too. I just don't want to. I just refuse to play because I know it's an addictive. I never played World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I played like League of Legends for a minute, and then but Han was my jam for a bit.
Okay.
Heroes of New Earth, to the hardcore gamers out there.
There you go.
God, that was a dark phase of my life. Because I was literally, you have to go and you're playing with a team of like five guys. It's guys. And if you leave, like you ruin your team. Your team is like loses and they hate you. And so
you're like in it. There's no like pause.
You can't pause. It's like 30 minutes minimum to an hour each game. So I can't like be, let me take this work call. You're like,
so you're in. All right.
You know, and I would be like every morning again there, like trying to go before I had to work and stuff. And
gotta go on a raid, honey.
Gotta finish this round. She didn't really know I was doing it so much, I don't think, my wife, but it was helpful. So yeah, I think we're in a weird new reality to where like it is. We were talking about Russell Brand earlier. Like I love that his circle has just exploded again. But he's doing it so thoughtfully and intelligently.
I think so too.
He's brilliant, first off.
If
you haven't checked out Russell Brand's podcast, you might be polarized against Joe Rogan for some reason because of what you think you know of him. And he says like some things that can insult people sometimes. He's just that way. But Russell Brand is like a smooth talking British guy, brilliant, funny. He has people like, from the far right to the far left on, and he doesn't combat you. He challenges your ideas and makes it entertaining for the listener.
And you get to hear, I think, sort of all sides, which is nice.
It is kind of neat, and I'm hoping though, like, I'd throw this gauntlet out to anybody like doing this, like, or listening, just like go listen to some of the new music. Try to find new music that does have some emotional and thought-provoking ideas in it. Now there is music out there.
It's out there, like yeah. I'm not saying that it's not existing,
but it gets drowned out by all the great classics.
No, it's
the classics too, not just I'm telling like by Neil Young, and by Bob Dylan, and by all the great songs of change.
Well, it is a weird thing when you think about it. There's been so much amazing music created in that vein. What would you have to do to stand out amongst that? Like, that'd be tricky.
Well, it's just a harder. It's so easy to get your music recorded and heard by like a small group of people. There's so much noise now.
Right.
It's like back in the old days, like you get signed if you were lucky, and then you would be in a record store and people would go listen to your record maybe, and it might blow up on the radio, and there was just less stuff to hear.
Right.
But now it is hard. So it's interesting that some of these legacy artists are going to throw the gauntlet out against the new technology, probably not full knowing who they're battling.
This may be true.
Because I bet if you put Neil Young and Joe Rogan in a room, they'd probably get along pretty well.
How much fun would that be? If instead of that, what if Neil Young had gone on the podcast to say, hey, I don't like these ideas that you have.
Like you've had this guy that I don't like on this, like, and I think that's been Joe Rogan's thing. Like he'll have everybody on there, and Joe Rogan's had some questionable cats on.
Oh yeah.
And like I've had to tune out, and but I'm just not interested in it. I know. Right. But I listen when I'm in the shower or something to podcasts usually.
That's what I want to hear is the questionable guys, right? I want to know, are you really this horrible? Do you really believe this?
Some of them I don't care about. But I do like hearing. It's interesting. I've been listening to Tom Segura a lot too. I think he's a fascinating cat.
He is.
I think his comedy. His Netflix specials, watch them all. I've watched each one probably 4 times. And I love his pacing. I like his humor. And anyway, that's all.
There you go.
So hopefully this battle will end on the two getting together and being a thing and realizing, wait, maybe we're more alike. Thing.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments what's going to happen. Is Spotify going to kick off Joe Rogan? Probably not. Is Neil Young actually going to pull out? Is it all a big bluff? Are they going to reconcile?
Maybe.
Who knows? I would like to know. I bet Joe Rogan is a Neil Young fan. So maybe he reaches out to him.
Like, hey man, I like your stuff.
Hey,
let's
old man. Yeah, it's good.
Look at my shoes.
I'm a lot like you. That would be amazing if Joe sent him a little message. I'm a lot like you.
Look at my shoes. Because I think that was the original line that Neil wrote. Because he had special shoes in the.
Not to make light.
I guess that's it. Just go home. I'm leaving.
Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell. We'll see you guys next time.